What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our Matchday 5 predictions here for the Premier League after an international break, and of course some pretty wild scores the week before. Some big teams getting blown out, some crazy scores in there. Of course, Aston Villa, Tottenham, a variety of scores in there that were pretty perplexing, but it's one of those seasons where you're probably going to see a bunch of those, so we'll see if we can take into account some crazy things that have happened there. So let's jump into this. We're going to jump straight on into the first game. Liverpool-Everton is the first game of the week. This one should be a pretty good game. We have got a very improved Everton side who sit top of the table after 4 games. Much more solid. They look good. And then Liverpool, of course, who look good up until the Aston Villa game where they were beaten 7-2 inexplicably. I mean, right from the off, they weren't in it, and they have a habit. I put a video up of it already, but they have a habit of going into games against lower opposition and thinking they've won games. Their problem with Everton is that Liverpool get up for these games. They were dominant in the Arsenal game that they won, and they were dominant in the Chelsea game that they won. And then iffy on the Leeds game, iffy to say the least in the Aston Villa game. So while Liverpool's game the other week against Aston Villa is concerning, I kind of expect them to bounce back here. I think they're going to win this game 2-1. It's going to be very tight. Every Merseyside derby is tight. Very often, or not very often, do we get 2, 3, 4-0s. Everton are definitely going to be in this. This is not going to be a Liverpool roll over their neighbors kind of thing. And while Ancelotti's there, that I doubt that will ever happen again, really. But it's just tough. Liverpool are going to have leaders back. Sadio Mane is going to be back. Jordan Henderson's going to be back. Matip is fit at the back. Perhaps he starts. Gomez maybe not playing so well, though he played well the week before. We'll see how the lineup's going to go. Thiago will be back as well. So it's going to be a possibly different lineup. A lineup for a team who's, in theory, ready to go, ready to put to bed all those things that happened over the last 2 weeks. We'll see, but I think Liverpool sneak away here 2-1. Next, we have Chelsea-Southampton. Chelsea, of course, still getting into the swing of things with their new side, but last time out, a very impressive win over Crystal Palace, 4-0. And then Southampton, of course, have won 2 straight. They seem to be getting defensively a lot better. Southampton, they started the year wanting to play their football, fullbacks forward. They just don't have the pace at the back to play that kind of stuff, so I think they're kind of, moving a couple things around, changing a few things here and there, and 2 clean sheets in a row. Chelsea, though, I kind of expect to win this game. I think Chelsea are going to come away 2-0 winners. They're starting to get into the groove a little bit. Southampton, as I said, still trying to work out a couple things. It'll be difficult against the bigger side, especially if they want to try and play the football that forward-thinking football. It'll be much more difficult here. I just think Chelsea get away with this one. 2-0. Southampton, they're going to have a good year. Chelsea are going to have to grow into their year, but I think at this moment in time, Chelsea take it. Next, we have Manchester City and Arsenal. Manchester City, of course, also coming off some not-so-great results. The 1-1 with Leeds, that could have been anything, really. And then, of course, the Leicester game the week before. This will be pretty tight. Arsenal, of course, getting that midfielder they would have loved. And Thomas Partey making a little bit more sound in midfield. That's one of Arsenal's biggest problems at the moment. I thought the midfield and the defense were places they needed to upgrade. They've upgraded in midfield with a really good midfielder, a battler. He's going to be tough to shove off. He's going to be tough to break down. He's going to tackle. He is a very, very good player, and he is going to give them some structure. And this game is set up for Arsenal. Arsenal love this type of game. especially after Arteta's shown up. They love to sit back and then kill you on the counter, and they were doing that against Liverpool. They had a couple chances here and there to get a couple shots off. Of course, they scored a goal. Had a chance, of course, to score a second that Alisson saved, or Lacazette missed, whatever way you want to go about it. I think Arsenal are made for this game. I'm going to say it. Arsenal are going to win this game. They're going to win this game 3-2. There are going to be goals in this one. Arsenal are going to win it. City are going to want to, especially if Liverpool lose, catch Liverpool quickly. They're going to not want to sit around. They want to make sure that this slump doesn't continue on after the international break. But I think Arsenal are going to grab points here, and I think they're going to grab all three. Arsenal to win this one 3-2. Next we have Newcastle and Manchester United. Another one that's kind of difficult. Manchester United, of course, right before the break, 6-1 the score after they lost to Tottenham there. And then, they haven't really gotten off to a good start. Just the one win, the 3-2 after time had been blown, of course. Then Newcastle, they've started pretty well. A couple good results their last two times out, a 3-1 over Burnley, and the draw with Tottenham. United and Tottenham this year, to me, are going to be the two teams that you can, or the two quote-unquote big teams that you can go in and genuinely think you can win. Obviously, you don't want to go into games and think you are going to lose games, and I imagine there aren't too many players or teams that go into games and think we are going to get blown away. But these are the two teams here where I think in the build-up, there's confidence there that you can get a result. And I think Newcastle are going to have a little bit of confidence here going into it. Manchester United currently dealing with a couple things. Not getting anybody they would have liked. Of course, bringing in a couple players on deadline day. They bought Telles in at left back. He should be an upgrade to Brandon Williams at minimum. Whether he's an upgrade to Luke Shaw, I think so. But he'll be playing out there on the left. And then, of course, the new wingers, one won't be coming till January, and then one's a younger player. I don't expect him to have a huge part in United's season going forward, but they just didn't really get their signings over the line, did they? And there were a lot of reports coming out, a lot of negativity around Manchester United. Harry Maguire is going through an awful run of form because, one, I think he's just a not-so-great player, and two, it's not been good. It's even for a not-so-great center-back standards, it's been pretty poor. Sent off for England just recently. They're going to have to come around and turn around and play against some really good forward-thinking players, St. Maximin, tough players like Callum Wilson. This isn't going to be easy for him. I think this game is going to finish level. I'm going to go with 1-1 here. I think United's start doesn't continue, or it does continue to be average at best. They've had a poor start to the season. I don't see it necessarily getting better this week. I think they're just going to have to build into it going forward. Next, we have Sheffield United and Fulham. Fulham, of course, bottom of the league, 1-0 loss last time out. And then Sheffield United, 2-1 to Arsenal, but they've showed up in that game. And Sheffield United, when you watch them, they're continuing to get better, which is what you want to see from them because they haven't collected too many points. And Fulham, they tried to get some players in. They got a couple, Lookman, a couple players here and there. Anderson, they've spent some money on the last couple days of the window. We'll see. I think it'll take a couple weeks to bed them in as well. I just think Sheffield United are too good, and they're really starting to slowly turn the gears a little bit here, and I think they come away with the win. Sheffield United 2, Fulham 0. This next one, Crystal Palace and Brighton. This is one of those ones where this can go either way. Crystal Palace love to sit back, love to, grab that. When they grab that first goal, they don't lose games very often. Brighton, on the other hand, started the season really well. They would have been disappointed last week, though Everton have started really well also. So it's a little bit harsh to get on them after that, though they didn't play well defensively. Brighton, another team here who could also run away with this. This game could run away either way. This could be 3-0 to Palace, 3-0 to Brighton. It could be level. This could be anything, this game. And it's because of the way these two teams sit up. Brighton this year, they're going to come at you. They're going to hold on to the ball. They're going to move you around the pitch. and Crystal Palace are going to sit back and do what they normally do. Whoever scores the first goal in this game is going to win this game outright. I like Brighton. I think they're going to get through, and I think in the end this could get a little bit ugly. That tends to happen with Palace. Happened last week. They gave up the first goal. It finished 4-0. I think it finishes 3-0 this week to Brighton. They get the first goal, and then they push on from there. Tottenham, West Ham. This is a fun one. Tottenham, of course, coming off that drubbing of Manchester United. And then West Ham have come off two really impressive performances the last couple of weeks. A 4-0 over Wolves and a 3-0 last week over Leicester. And as I said, Tottenham and United are going to be those teams where you go into it and think you can grab something. I think West Ham are going to grab something here. I think this finishes 1-1. Tottenham, to me, when I watched them the other week when they were playing the United, they are a little bit more open going forward and a little bit more open at the back than a normal Mourinho team. I think he's sacrificed it a little bit at the back for a little bit more at the front. They've had games where they've scored 5 or 6 so far this year, 2 or 3 times now, and they're scoring goals. But I think their goal-scoring prowess, if you want to call it that, has come from teams who are open, and United are open, defensively poor. Southampton are not defensively poor. It's just the way they play football this year. It's a lot more open, and it leaves humongous gaps at the back. West Ham are not going to be giving away gaps to Tottenham. 2 clean sheets in a row. They are going to sit back. They are going to try and hit you on the break. I think they get one. You know, there are games, as we were talking about with Tottenham earlier, we were talking about how they score goals. There are games where they have huge problems also scoring in front of goal. Also, it's kind of like there are 2 games where they didn't win. They have 1 goal in between both games, and then they have 11 in the other ones. It's kind of give and take at the moment with Tottenham. And I think that's problematic against a team that's going to sit back. West Ham are going to grab a point here. 1-1 in the end. Next we have Leicester City and Aston Villa. Aston Villa will be buoyed, surely, by the incredible result against Liverpool. And then Leicester City will not be after they were thoroughly beaten by West Ham the other day. This is an odd one to me. Leicester City always seemed like some of those teams that go through really good highs and really bad lows. I think their lows are going to continue a little bit here. I like Villa to grab a point. Grealish is playing very well. Ollie Watkins is slotted into the team relatively quickly. Their signings should start to gel a little bit more as we go forward. The goalkeeper, Martinez, is an excellent bit of business that Aston Villa have done. Should keep Leicester at bay a little bit at least. I like this game to finish 1-1. Leicester City, as I said, they have really low lows, and Aston Villa have come 3 wins from 3. So it's hard to go against them, especially after what they did to Liverpool last week. 1-1 the final here. Next we have West Brom and Burnley. West Brom coming off another loss. They're going to have a really tough year, and then Burnley, who also look like they're going to have a tough year, are slowly starting to get into it, but beaten 3-1 last week to Newcastle. It hasn't gotten there yet. Once again, Dyche has to perform miracles. We'll see how long it goes on. I feel like I mention it every week because they lose every week, and you look around and it's no one's fault except except the boards almost, where you sit there and there's no money, no one comes in, same team, a couple players leave at the end of the year, then it's just a little bit thinner. It's tough, really tough at Burnley, and then West Brom are just going to have a really tough year in general. They don't score enough goals. They don't defend well enough, though they have a better defensive record than Fulham, and that's why I think they have a better chance of staying up, though I expect them to go down. This game I'd like to finish 1-1. I think, halfway through the game, if this is 1-1, Burnley would be okay with a draw. Just trying to get a point or a couple points on the board should be the minimum here, and West Brom will take a draw all day. 1-1 the final. And then we move into the last game, Leeds and Wolves. I've been disappointed with Wolves the last couple of weeks, or to start the season, really. They started off pretty well, and then, last 2 weeks, not so great. the loss to West Ham, and then just the 1-0 win over Fulham. And then Leeds, of course, grabbing a point off of Manchester City, and they've started the year pretty well in general. 7 points from their first 4 is pretty decent. Of course, newly promoted, it'll take a little bit of time to get them where they need to go, but it's a good start for them, and they like to play open football, and I'm not sure how Wolves are going to take this kind of football. Wolves like to be compact, like to be tight, but they also kind of like to get forward. If Leeds can catch them out, and maybe they only play, if they have 2 midfielders, Wolves, or they play the 3 forward, or they have 3 midfielders and they only play 2 up front, they lower their attacking potency a little bit. I'm interested to see how the 5 at the back works against this system that Leeds play, because Leeds play wild football. It's up and down. That City game the other day could have finished 5-5 for all we know. But they will stretch, and I'm interested to see how this game goes, because Wolves have some pacey wingers. And if they're moving the ball up and down the pitch, and this game is back and forth, it's going to be tons of fun. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to say Leeds win this one. I actually like this to finish 2-1. But this one should be loads of fun. I just don't like Wolves' form right now. They ended last year with a lot of games where they didn't score any goals. And then they've started this year okay, and then the last couple weeks have not been so great. They worry me sometimes. They go into games where they don't score enough goals. If this game becomes a goal fest, expect Leeds to pull it out. I expect Leeds to pull it out 2-1 in the end, guys. But that is going to be it. Those are all our picks. We're going to start getting a little bit bolder with some of these picks, because we sit back, every week you sit back, and this year's just been pretty crazy in terms of some of the scores, so we're just going to start to get a little bit bolder with some of these. We picked Arsenal this week. That game's going to have a lot of goals. You feel that the Leeds game is going to have a lot of goals. There are some really good games this week. Liverpool, Everton is a really good game. Tottenham, West Ham should be a good game. Leicester, Villa. So we'll see if a couple teams have started the season well and will keep it up, or if reality comes back and hits a couple of them, like Aston Villa, like Tottenham, and goes on from there, guys. But that is going to be it. I hope you folks, of course, have enjoyed this. Stay tuned for more. And peace.